Today, I'm going to share how I created my fabric swatch book. It helps keep my fabric swatches organized, helps me plan my projects, makes fabric shopping easier, and is a great source of inspiration. I'm also going to share the swatch template to help you get started. The link is in the description below. Now let's dive in. This was my first attempt at a fabric swatch book. I just started throwing them in this notebook, and so you can see I'm just taping them in just with regular tape. I'm just writing some quick things down. I just started doing this, and then I realized that it's just sort of messy and I'm not really thrilled with it. So I have a lot here, and I need to convert all of these over into my new swatch book, but that's going to take a little time. We'll start by gathering our supplies. What I have is a notebook or a binder. You can get it as, thick as you want, depending on how many swatches you have. I find this is, I think, an inch. This is pretty good for me. We also need some tape. I like this double-sided tape. You can also just use staples or fabric glue or just regular tape that you looped amongst itself. Any of those would work, but this is what I prefer. You need a pencil or a pen. I prefer a pencil so I can erase. And pinking shears or just regular scissors. I prefer the pinking shears, so when you cut with this, the edges don't fray. If you don't want to buy pinking shears, you could just cut with regular fabric shears and then finish your edges with a serger or a zigzag. That would work too, just to make sure those edges don't fray. But in the book, it's probably not going to fray too much anyway, so it wouldn't be necessary. And then we have the templates. I have created all these templates that you can download in the description below, and we'll go through all of these. But I have a variety of templates here depending on how many swatches you want per page. And of course, you need your fabric. So we'll get started first by cutting out our fabric. So I'm going to get a piece here, take my pinking shears, and you can see you'll have to cut your fabric according to the size of your swatches. So if you chose this one where you only have 2 swatches per page, you would cut them bigger according to this. This is really good for ones that have a pattern that you want to see a little bit more. So, you can have a bigger swatch there. If you really have a sort of large pattern, you want a bigger swatch, you could just put one on here and just use it once. I typically use this one and put 4 swatches on. It gives me plenty of room to write things. So I'm going to be cutting my swatch this size. And then I've also created one that you've really squeezed 6 on. The swatch sizes are the same. You just have a little less room to write. So let's cut out the swatch. So I'm going to come here, I cut the edge off. Go to this side. And I usually take my page, hold it up to get a general sense of how much I need to cut off. There we go. So there we have our swatch. And we'll open up our book. You can see that I have my swatches by type of fabric. So we have knits here. We'll go through everything that I'm going to write once we fill this out. And I have more knits. Now the way I attach it, you'll see I only put the tape on the top side here. It's a little problematic by doing that because you'll notice when I turn the pages, sometimes like this, perfect example, they roll up. So I am sort of careful when I turn the pages. I sort of go up like this and turn so they stay down so they're not constantly going up. The way around that could be to put a piece of tape on the bottom too. But the reason I don't do that is I like to be able to feel. So if you had tape on both sides, you really wouldn't be able to feel it quite as well. So I live with that flipping so I can touch the swatch as I'm going through. So those were knits. This is my pontes. I had different pontes, very similar, but different places I order my pontes. Even though they look all the same, that's where it's really important to feel. More pontes that I have, and this is where we're going to put our swatch now. So this is, I just called it heavy knits because this is a similar kind of faux suede. I loved this one. This one was from Style Maker. I love Style Maker. It's much more expensive. This one is not as expensive. So I'm going to take the tape off here, and then it's sticky on this side, and I'll put this down, press it down so it stays there secure. And then I'm going to look at what I purchased. This type, this is called a suede scuba. Double knit. And the content, I'm going to look from the website, it was 96% polyester and 4% spandex. The color was sand. It's important I like to put down the color that they indicate so I can find it again. The width is 59 inches and the weight is 300 GSM. So that's sort of see here I made a mistake already. So that's why I like to use a pencil, 300 GSM, which is sort of in between a medium and heavy weight. It's right up to 300 is considered a medium weight. So that would be right in between that and the heavy weight. This is very inexpensive. I've never used this before. It's the first time I bought it, but it was only $6.74 a yard, which is really, really, that's one of the advantages of going to the seller is Fabric Warehouse Direct. So we'll see how it was definitely much nicer. You can see I paid $17 a yard for that. This is only $6.74. So it might be, you can tell it's not nearly as nice as that, but that is to be expected because I often find that there is a direct correlation between price and quality. I just indicate that I washed it, which I did as soon as I get it into the house. I put it right in the washer. I never put it into my stash until it's washed. And then I look at the care, which is machine wash, which is most of the stuff I buy is machine wash because I don't like to dry clean things and it's tumble dry low. So I put that. So you can see we have all the really important information. One thing also you could add is yardage available. I don't choose to add it here. What I choose to do instead is when I put it in my stash, I just cut a little piece of paper off and I write where I bought it and how many yards I bought. So just is easier for me to have it there because I might like just use part of this, which I often don't. I often use the whole thing, but I might only use part of it. And then I would just rewrite how many yards I had left. So I don't have to keep going back to the swatch book. So that's just how I prefer to do it. But you might choose to put it here as well, how much you have available. You might also want to add some project ideas here, which I choose not to do. There is the, if you want to put those kind of extra notes in, I would recommend using this one. You have a lot more room to write things. So you could easily write here how many yards you have, what your project ideas are. Afterwards, it would be interesting to write what you thought about the fabric, like was it too stiff or was it uncomfortable to wear? Did it not have enough stretch? Those kind of things. So if you want to put notes there, that's great. What I do instead though is at the back of my book, I put in my sketches. And in the sketches, I often will write here at the bottom if I have any notes, like here I said shifted backward at the neck. So if I have any notes on this dress or the outfit, the garment that I made, I will, here I said the sleeves were too wide. I'll make a little note there. This one I said it was a good fit. So, oh, this was this buttery suede one that we just saw. I made it this dress out of that. I just loved it. It came out really, really beautifully. And I had no comments because it just was really, really great. So when it comes to organizing, you can organize these in a variety of ways. You can see I organize it by fabric type. I organize it by knits and pontes. I have over here cottons, which I don't buy a lot of cotton, so I don't have a lot there. And that's all my swatches for now. You could also, other ways to organize it, you could organize it by color, which would be sort of fun if that's like your priority, or maybe by project category. Maybe you would have dressier fabrics and casual fabrics, those kind of thing, or maybe by season. You might have summer fabrics, fall, winter fabrics. So whatever you want. If you do a lot of organizing, you might want to put in some dividers here that then you can easily see where those different sections are. I don't find that necessary, but that's an idea as well. To prevent this flipping upward, you could also put these in those clear plastic sleeves. I don't really like to do that because I do want to quickly come here and just feel. So I am just careful when I'm flipping. I just turn it up so it stays down as I'm flipping. So that's what I choose. Now you can see what I did here is this was just a white binder when I purchased it. And I got a piece of paper here and I slipped it in. So it had a nice color. And I have a whole bunch of paper, so I really like that. I can always change that up. I did the back as well. The side was a little, you could also do the side. That was a little, I did not do the sides. Another really interesting thing, what you can do with your fabric scraps is I would take a fabric scrap and perhaps back it with some interfacing, or you could even glue it on to a piece of, cardstock, and then you could put the fabric in here too. That would be quite fun. Or you could do, a fabric collage in here, which would be really fun. Or you could even just cover the whole binder with a book cover with some fabric scraps. So lots of really fun ways to decorate your binder. Inside, I tend to keep mine quite, simple. But a lot of people like scrapbooking. So if you enjoy scrapbooking, you could really, add a lot of decorative details in here, some little sketches and doodles. That would be really fun to do that and keep it quite colorful. Now, maintaining this fabric swatch book is really important. Like I said, I try to all the time. I'm definitely not perfect with this, but what I try to do is I get the fabric in, I wash it immediately, I cut my swatch before I even put it into, into the shelves. And then I try to tape it right on. You can see I have these extra pieces of tape here. I put the tape on here already, so then I really don't have any excuse. I don't have to go find my roll of tape, which I have tucked away. I can just come here and just pull it off and then put it right in. And then at that point, I would have the receipt of where I purchased it. Then I can quickly add in all these details. That's the preference. If you don't get around to that and you bought a lot of fabric and you just don't have time for that, I would suggest just maybe putting it in an envelope. So at least you have them all in one place. You could put the receipts in there too. So it would be easier to, do it in the future. So other interesting things to do with your fabric swatch book that I've included in the templates that I provided is a project planner. So you can see back here when I showed you my sketches, I just tend to do this on a piece of paper. I indicate the name of the dress and I number all of my patterns because these are all self-made patterns that I have. So I wanted to make sure if I want to go find that pattern, I have them in chronological order in my closet. I can easily then find 31 if that's the one I'm looking for, which I actually just did. I'm going to be making this exact dress. The next dress I'm making, I'm going to use this pattern, but I'm going to make it out of a black brushed poly, which I think would be really pretty in that. But so you could also use this sheet for that. So you have a room for the sketch here. You can name the project, like I named this A-line flare dress. whatever fabrics you're going to use. For this one, I use the Spoonflower Modern Jersey fabric, so you could put that there. Any pattern recommendations? Now, this is going to be, my pattern is number 31 because I do all self-drafted patterns, but if you were going to buy a commercial pattern, you could put that there. Maybe put, what you spent on the fabric here, and then any notes you want to do. So this is another thing you can do to keep track of your projects or future projects that you're interested in. Another thing I thought would be interesting to do to plan your project is to create a mood board. So I created this template. It's also included in the download in the description. At the top here, you could add maybe some inspiration photos of things you found online that you are interested in recreating, places for your fabric swatches, color palettes if you want to color this in with some markers or colored pencils to get a general idea of like how the colors look together, and then any design notes. So this would be sort of a fun way to come up with some interesting things that you're interested in making, and have this included in this book as well. So that's my fabric swatch book. I really love having it. I keep it right here underneath on my table here, so I can always refer to it. It's really great to have all the information of where I purchase things and be able to feel. Oh, this one is interesting. See, I double taped this one down, and it's just awkward because for me to get in there, I'm really having to it's just hard. And this one I didn't, because I was like, oh, I didn't like that. So I'm not a big fan of double taping it down, but you have to decide what you prefer to do. See, that one constantly wants to come up, so I have to be careful with that. So I just love having this. And so I hope you will create one. And if you do, please let me know in the comments below how that went. If you want to learn more about how I choose the fabric for my projects, check out this video here. And if you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe.